Welcome to Bite at a Time Books, where we read you your favorite classics one bite at a time. My name is Bree Carlile, and I love to read and wanted to share my passion with listeners like you. You can sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com. You'll also find our new t-shirts in the shop, including podcast shirts and quote shirts from your favorite classic novels. Be sure to follow my show on your favorite podcast platform so you get all the new episodes. We're part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you'd also like to hear what inspired your favorite classic author to write their novels, and what was going on in the world at the time, check out the Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Today we'll be continuing Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Chapter 2, Explanation. On the day of the 6th of June, about 2 of the sewers had been ordered. It was feared that the vanquished might have taken to them for refuge, and Prefect Gisquet was to search occult Paris, while General Bugeaud swept public Paris, a double and connected operation which exacted a double strategy on the part of the public force, represented above by the army and below by the police. 3 squads of agents and sewermen explored the subterranean drain of Paris, the first on the right bank, the second on the left bank, the third in the city. The agents of police were armed with carabines, with bludgeons, swords, and poignards. That which was directed at Jean Valjean at that moment was the lantern of the patrol of the right bank. This patrol had just visited the curving gallery and the 3 blind alleys which lie beneath the Rue du Cadran. While they were passing their lantern through the depths of these blind alleys, Jean Valjean had encountered on his path the entrance to the gallery, had perceived that it was narrower than the principal passage, and had not penetrated thither. He had passed on. The police, on emerging from the Gallery du Cadran, had fancied that they heard the sound of footsteps in the direction of the belt sewer. They were, in fact, the steps of Jean Valjean. The sergeant in command of the patrol had raised his lantern, and the squad had begun to gaze into the mist in the direction whence the sound proceeded. This was an indescribable moment for Jean Valjean. Happily, if he saw the lantern well, the lantern saw him but ill. It was light, and he was shadow. He was very far off, and mingled with the darkness of the place. He hugged the wall and halted. Moreover, he did not understand what it was that was moving behind him. The lack of sleep and food and his emotions had caused him also to pass into the state of a visionary. He beheld a gleam, and around that gleam, forms. What was it? He did not comprehend. Jean Valjean having paused, the sound ceased. The men of the patrol listened and heard nothing. They looked and saw nothing. They held a consultation. There existed at that epoch, at this point of the Montmartre sewer, a sort of crossroads called the Service, which was afterwards suppressed on account of the little interior lake which formed there, swallowing up the torrent of rain and heavy storms. The patrol could form a cluster in this open space. Jean Valjean saw these specters form a sort of circle. These bulldogs' heads approached each other closely and whispered together. The result of this council held by the watchdogs was that they had been mistaken, that there had been no noise, that it was useless to get entangled in the belt sewer, that it would only be a waste of time, but that they ought to hasten towards St. Mary, that if there was anything to do and any boissegat to track out, it was in that quarter. From time to time, parties resold their old insults. In 1832, the word Busegot formed the interim between the word Jacobin, which had become obsolete, and the word demagogue, which has since rendered such excellent service. The sergeant gave orders to turn to the left, towards the watershed of the Seine. If it had occurred to them to separate into 2 squads and to go in both directions, Jean Valjean would have been captured. All hung on that thread. It is probable that the instructions of the prefecture, foreseeing a possibility of combat and insurgents in force, had forbidden the patrol of part company. The patrol resumed its march, leaving Jean Valjean behind it. Of all this movement, Jean Valjean perceived nothing except the eclipse of the lantern which suddenly wheeled round. Before taking his departure, the sergeant, in order to acquit his policeman's conscience, discharged his gun in the direction of Jean Valjean. The detonation rolled from echo to echo in the crypt, like the rumbling of that titanic entrail. A bit of plaster which fell into the stream and splashed up the water a few paces away from Jean Valjean warned him that the ball had struck the arch over his head,
Slow and measured steps resounded for some time on the timberwork, gradually dying away as they retreated to a greater distance. The group of black forms vanished. A glimmer of light oscillated and floated, communicating to the vault a reddish glow which grew fainter, then disappeared. The silence became profound once more. The obscurity became complete. Blindness and deafness resumed possession of the shadows, and Jean Valjean, not daring to stir as yet, remained for a long time leaning with his back against the wall, with straining ears and dilated pupils, watching the disappearance of that phantom patrol. Thank you for joining Bite at a Time Books today, while we read a bite of one of your favorite classics. Again, my name is Bree Carlile, and I hope you come back tomorrow for the next bite of Les Miserables.
Don't forget, you can sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com. And while you're there, check out our t-shirt shop. You can look in the show notes or on our website, biteatatimebooks.com, for the rest of the links for our show. We'd love to hear from you on social media. You can find us everywhere at Bite at a Time Books.